Hey friend, I am making this video today because tomorrow is officially my 2-year anniversary for moving down here in Texas. In 2022, I decided to move to a different state. I am originally from Omaha, Nebraska, and I just pretty much just wanted a fresh new start in life. I was tired of like the mundane things and every day looking the same, knowing everybody in the whole city. And I was just like, you know what? I think it's time for me to get a change of scenery. So I prayed in this, I want to say maybe November, December. I prayed very hard because I had just like gone through like a big, deep like depression the year before. I think it was a way of like God making me uncomfortable in my current situation to make me want to like try something new. So I was like, you know, what's newer than a whole new state? And I wrote a letter to myself that was pretty much like foresighting like how I wanted my days to go. Like when I moved, I wanted to be in a completely different field that was like new to me, but I could grow and I had more opportunities. So I prayed and I was like, God, I know that this isn't your best that you have for me. I just started prepping. I like got rid of whatever expense wasn't necessary. Like I think I kept my car note, and I had to just pay my phone bill and car insurance. And other than that, like I got rid of like a lot of things, including my home, which was crazy because I was terrified and I didn't know like what was on the other side of me like leaving or me taking that leap because I hadn't found another job. I was looking, but the jobs didn't find me yet. And so I remember writing the letter and holding on to it. I wrote my resignation letter in January of 2022, and I didn't give it to my job or my boss at the time until June. So I'd been walking around with this letter like, oh my gosh, I just don't know what to hand it to him. I didn't want it to feel like I knew I needed something more, but I didn't want it to feel like I was like letting them down. But I was just like, you know what? You gave them 11 years of your time, and I'm pretty sure that that is more than enough to give any job. I started saving up money. I definitely started to amp up my side hustle, which was revamping people's LinkedIn pages, just kind of creating like whatever content I could create for other people and helping them with their business and stuff and leading into mine. I was getting a lot of like speaking engagements, like things were going great. And I just had this like inkling in my spirit, like I want to take a month off of work. And so I was like, hey, June's about to be done. Are we handing over the letter or what are we doing? Because now my family's looking at me like, hey, you said you're going to move this summer. I finally was just like, you know what, maybe July 30th. I don't know. July 24th. I can't remember the date, but it was the end of July. And so I remember handing over the letter. They were very sad, but they sent me off well. With like an envelope full of cash and was just like, hey, here's gas money for your trip, which I thought was such a big blessing. Things just started to fall into place after that. I remember having a conversation with my mom, looking up like U-Hauls. Like I had never rented a U-Haul a day in my life, so I didn't know how much they cost. I thought it was like $200. It was not. But my mom, being the blessing that she is, ended up like covering the cost. She was like, let's go pick out your U-Haul and I'll pay for it. A blessing. I'm so grateful for my mother at the time. We had a lot of prayers together. I will say like our relationship grew a lot closer because we knew we weren't going to be like 5 minutes down the street from each other. Could call her every day during the time that I was about to move, where I was moving, and she would just listen. She would give me advice. And she's like, I know you're going to do great things. It was also at that time like I leaned into other people's faith for mine. Like when I ran out of faith, because I was still getting kind of discouraged that I couldn't find a job. July was coming, and I already told my landlord that I'm leaving, so I can't stay here. I can't move with my mom. Like I just had to go. And I had a conversation with my god sister, and she was like, you know what? Just come on down here. You'll find a job when you get here. Like just come on down. And I never forget, my godmom was on her way back to Texas, and she was like, all right with you in the U-Haul. So my friends came over, my family came over, and we packed up the U-Haul to the best of our abilities. Things fell. Things got broke or whatever, but I mean, I packed up my plants in my car and put it on a little dolly behind the U-Haul, and we drove down. Drove down to Texas. The U-Haul didn't have any AC. It was hot. It couldn't go over 65 miles without shaking because the transmission was going out. And if you know how fast they drive in Texas, it's at least 100. So I was terrified driving this big old truck. These cars are like zooming past me, but like we're driving down. That was probably my bravest season, like in life, was to just go for it. At the time, crazy things were happening, but I was just like, hey, it's all of this is out of my control. There was a time where each day I'd try to like recreate my routine. I talked to one of my friends and she was like, if you move in a new state or if you move in a new place, it's your opportunity to create like a new routine for you. So part of like my routine was also like to talk to clients because I still did like freelance. Also like creating TikToks. It was so crazy. Like I created TikToks until I got tired, okay? I did not know that creating the TikToks that I made would open doors for opportunities for future work for me. But I was being obedient at the time and I was like, yo, I like doing this. I may only get like 5 followers. My mom is gonna like every single post, period, because she's my biggest supporter. Every post, comment, like, share, all of that. And I never forget I connected with a guy who actually owned his own like marketing media company and he asked me to help him do like freelance work too. So I ended up like helping him out with some of his clients and I was going to interviews and I never forget I had like my favorite interview shirt and I told myself like this is going to be the shirt that gets me the job. It was like a blue and white striped shirt and I just knew it. It was going to be the shirt to get me a job. And I created a TikTok too that was like I show the shirt in like the TikTok where I'm like, hey y'all, I'm getting ready for my favorite shirt. And that was the shirt that got me a job. I wanted to be able to have like creative freedom. I wanted to be able to just kind of like be free, but also employed at the same time. And an opportunity came and it was really great. The pay was great, but they wanted me to come in office. And I looked online, the navigation said it was approximately like an hour to get there. My drive into work happened to be like 2.5 hours. And then my drive home happened to be like 3 hours. What's normally like a 1 hour drive just because of traffic. I was completely unprepared for that amount of like traffic and then like finally getting up to like what is causing the congestion and it being nothing. I ended up having to like leave that job. I think that was probably the hardest lesson that I learned in all this transition was like waiting so long for that job and then having to make that decision like I can't keep this because it's not this is not what I wrote on my list. Like I wasn't able to travel. I didn't have creative freedoms. I took another leap of faith and I was like, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for the opportunity, but I can't work here. And I had another job offer on the table. And I ended up just calling like, hey guys, is that offer still available? Because I will take it. And they were like, hey, well, it's still available. We're still interested in you. You can start in a couple of weeks. And I remember telling her, actually, I can start Monday. It was Friday when I told her. Was it Thursday? It was a Thursday or a Friday when I told her. I can start Monday. I already got a computer. What do you need? What do I need to download on this computer so that I can start work on Monday? Just because like I needed something to look forward to, right? One of the things that like I ran into, speaking of run into, was after I accepted the job, I remember trying to celebrate. Oh, we just have food going. Like, I'm there with my godmom, my god sister, and we're having a good time. And I'm like, hey, y'all, like, I'm going to go get some wine just so we can celebrate. I'll never forget that I was driving and I was on my car phone with my mom. And I'm telling her, I'm like, hey, I got a job. Like, I'm so excited to start. She's like, oh, when do you start? I was like, Monday. Tell them that I could start Monday. And as I'm like driving down the street, because it's literally like a couple of blocks, I make a turn to go into like the Walgreens parking lot and I got hit. Like somebody hit my car. This lady hit my car so bad. She hit the back of my car and it completely like spun me around into a whole different direction. And I'm on the phone with my mom. So she's hearing this, like yelling and crying, like, panicking. And I didn't know what to do in that situation. And I was just like, man, I felt like finally things were going right for me. And that's when like regret started to creep in. And I was like, I know I made the right decision on coming down here, even though this happened, even though I got into an accident. That does not negate the leap of faith that I took to get here. Like I just looked at it as like a blessing. I still ended up getting that one. I say all of this to say like dream big. If you are thinking about like moving away from like your state or your city or even the country, I don't have a plan for you for that. But if you're thinking about like taking that leap of faith, definitely do it. But encouragement to you is definitely to pray about it and just make sure like it aligns with what God has for you. Take your moments to prepare and then pack it on up. But when you pack, like don't bring things you don't need. Just bring the things that you need into your new space and your new place. And just be prepared for like the journey. Be prepared for the journey.